In this video, we're going to be talking about short-term storage. So you have two different types of storages. You have short-term storage for quick access, really fast, but it's expensive. It's for more important things, the task at hand. And then you have long-term storage. That's for saving stuff long-term. It's your hard drives, your CDs, your USBs. And that is for saving stuff that you're not currently working on now. You want to save it for later. Short-term storage is often called memory. You have two different types of memory. You have RAM and you have ROM. ROM is not the same as RAM. Okay? Why I bring this one up is because I don't want you to get it confused with this one. So you might not know what ROM is, but ROM is like RAM. The only difference is that when you turn your computer off, it will still keep the data or the information. It won't lose it. And whatever you put on there is permanent. It's hard to change or remove afterward. Whenever you put software on ROM, it's called firmware, and it's very hard to change or to remove afterward. Okay? That's why they call it read-only memory, because it's meant to be, it's meant where you put something on there once and you don't touch it, right? You only read it and access it, but you don't really change it or, add to it. You only read from it. So it's kind of like, think if you had a book, you wouldn't add to the book. You would only read from the book. So it's kind of like a permanent book, if that makes sense. Okay? This is often used in stuff like remotes, where you have some software on there for the remote, but they're never going to go back in there and do an update or change it. What's on there, it's on there. It's permanent. And whenever you lose power on that remote, it's going to keep that information. It's not going to lose it, right? The remote is not going to forget what these buttons are and stuff like that, if that makes sense. Same with headphones and stuff like that. Your computer actually has ROM, where as soon as it boots up, it knows to load Windows or Mac OS and stuff like that. You also have RAM. This is your system memory, your computer memory. This is what the CPU uses. Whenever you turn the computer off, this memory loses that information. It's gone. So you actually have two different types of memory. That is RAM. You have one that is in the CPU, and you have one that sit next to the CPU. The one that's in the CPU is called static RAM, or it's often static RAM, right? SRAM, and the size is smaller. It's around a couple megabytes. It's expensive, but it's fast, and they usually call it level 1, level 2 cache. Cache is just storage that's you can access it quickly, and it's often small for really important stuff at the task at hand, right? Dynamic RAM, or DRAM, is the RAM that sits next to your CPU. It's bigger, so it's a couple gigabytes, 8, 16, 32, which is a lot. Cheaper, but it is slower compared to SRAM or static RAM. And this is used for your system memory RAM. All right. So that's the two different types of RAM you got right there. You're really going to be using this one more often, unless you're doing some really hardcore programming, and you might, run into this. But if you're doing web development, you're going to be messing with this. And really, if you're doing web development, you're not even going to be messing with RAM. But it's good to know about it in case you get into some system programming, right? But it's good to know what type of RAM your computer's running. The one that's important to us is this one. This is the CPU RAM. All right? So I hope that was informative. And I'll see you in the next one where we talk about long-term storage.